Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today our lesson is on domain and range of radical functions. Let's take a look at our first example. Here we have the graph of y equals the square root of x plus 2 minus 3. Domain represents our x values and range represents our y values. So when we're looking at our domain values, we're going to see where our leftmost boundary is, and this graph goes to positive infinity. So we're going to say x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Our range values are the y values, so we can see that our boundary is at negative 3, and it's everything above negative 3. And so what we're going to say is y is greater than or equal to negative 3. And you could tell just by looking at our graph, it's at negative 3 and everything and above. Let's take a look at our second example. Here we have a graph that's been reflected, so it looks a little different. We still have an endpoint here, and that's going to tell us our boundaries as far as x values and y values. So for domain, we could see that the boundary is at negative 5. And since it's everything to the right of negative 5, it's everything greater than or equal to negative 5. Now with our range, we're talking about y values, so we're talking about this boundary here, that's at positive 4, and it's everything below 4. So we're going to say y is less than or equal to positive 4. Now let's say we're just given an equation, and we don't have a graph, and we don't want to graph it. So looking at our domain, we're actually going to look at our h value. Our h value tells us our left or right translation. And this h value is 7, so that means our graph moved to the right 7. So we know it's something compared to 7. Now, since our x value inside the square root function is positive, it's not reflected across the y-axis, so we know it's going to the right, which means it's greater than or equal to 7. Our k value and our a value combined will help us find the range. Our k value tells us that our graph moved up 6, and when we look at our a value, we want to see if it's positive or negative. Since it's a positive a value, our graph is increasing in y values. It's not reflected, so we're going to say it's greater than or equal to 6. That concludes our lesson on finding domain and range of radical functions. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those questions in the comments section below. And for more math tutorials, subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.